Welcome to the Best You 2022 Virtual Women's Summit Expand Your Reach track. My name is Marnie Swedberg. I'm a missions ministry mentor and the leader of this summit, as well as I host a weekly show over at Blog Talk Radio called Marnie's Friends, where we change perspectives and we reach more people, learn how to be all God's created us to be. I encourage you to join us over at Marnie's Friends. You can learn all about that and the mentorship program by going to www.marnie.com. Right now, I'm super excited to introduce you to Linda Olson and your 1 minute message. Reach out to a friend and invite her to join you for this session and for the whole summit, and download the schedule so that you don't miss anything. There are other sessions going on right now. Stay right here. You can listen to those later, and you can also look ahead to see what you're going to be having next as options, but make sure that you download the whole schedule so you can go back and catch anything you've missed right now. Be sure to request your free swag gift from Linda, the 5-day challenge, and stay tuned to the end of the hour because 2 winners are going to receive an hour of one-on-one coaching with Linda, which is just invaluable. Your 1 minute message is a priority for Linda. She is a story expert, and she's going to show us how to step by step explode your message with a 1 minute story. You can leave energized, confident, and empowered. During this session, Linda's going to share the power of a 1 minute story, 6 key areas that make up a 1 minute story, and how 1 minute can explode your message. Linda Olson is a Tedx speaker, a story expert, international #1 best-selling author, and the founder of Wealth Through Stories. Her mission is to impact 1 million people a year through story, and I'm excited to introduce her to you. She's also one of our featured speakers at womenspeakers.com, so be sure to reach out to her for your upcoming events. And right now, welcome, Linda.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. How fun is this? You know, many people know how to share their story in perhaps 5 minutes, in 10 minutes, 15 minutes or longer, but there's very few that can share their message in 1 minute. And so I just thought it'd be fun to share that with you today for anybody who may be interested to just really learn and know that that is possible. I mean, when I was first told that, my story is actually a 45-year journey. And when my coach first introduced me to that, I felt like it was impossible. I thought there is no way that can happen. Well, today I'm going to show you that that is possible and take you through the steps to show you exactly how that can be done. And more than that, I want you to experience story. Because that's what, to me, what story is all about. It's all about the experience. So let's just jump in and get started. To make this a little easier to remember, I've put together an acronym spelling CREATE to help you remember the 6 elements of story. And the first element is C for curiosity. You know, the purpose for story and for sharing our 1 minute message is so that people will want more of you. We're not telling how this happens. We're sharing our what. Someone has said, we do not remember events. We remember moments. Make moments worth remembering. So it's very interesting, what we remember. That moment is what you are experiencing. And so C is for curiosity. R is for real. We want to be real. We want to be authentic. It has to be your voice. Because I'll tell you what, if it's not your voice, people will see through that so quickly. And today, when so many people are hurting because we live in a broken world, more than anything, they want to see the authenticity. They want to know this is real, this is you, this is coming from your heart. So C is curiosity, R is real. E is emotional connection. There's a business principle that says people buy into you before they buy into your product or your service. Buying into you is your story. That's what it's all about. And so, how do you make that emotional connection with your audience? And by the way, that audience may be one person. One person, it may be a small group, it may be a large group. It really doesn't matter. But what does matter is that you understand and know their need. That's the key. And if you don't know, for example, if you're just talking to somebody you just met and you don't know their need, ask a few open ended questions and find out. You're really wanting to draw out their story. And the one thing you want to listen for is the number one negative emotion that they are experiencing at this time. Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it guilt? Is it shame? Is it loneliness or something else? So just listen for that. And I'll tell you what, here's a clue. If you don't feel like you have that, you can be pretty assured that everyone faces fear, and especially right now, we're living in a time where fear has been heightened. Fear and anxiety has just been heightened. So you can't go wrong with that. Then, once you know their negative emotion, you want to think of a story in your life. It may be just a simple experience that you've had that you experienced the fear, and that's how you want to make that emotional connection. So C is curiosity, R is real, E is emotional connection, and our A is attention. You want to grab their attention as quickly as you can, literally within seconds, within the first statement. Now, that's one thing about a 1 minute story. You don't have a lot of time. So every word counts. So, how are you going to grab their attention within seconds? Well, there's three things that's important. One is this has to be personal because you need to feel it. If you don't feel it, they're not going to feel it. Secondly, it needs to come from the heart. And thirdly, you need to be passionate about it. So, how do you do this? Well, the best way is something called episodic storytelling. And in episodic storytelling, it's not about telling people about your story, it's about showing them. You want to bring them into that experience as quickly as you can. I thought it might be helpful to give you a couple examples that I use with my story. And so I'm going to share them with you and see if you can begin to experience what my story is about. With knees knocking and hands trembling, I dial the familiar number. Can you feel some of my anxiety with that? Dad raced 90 miles an hour on the gravel road to the nearest hospital. Can you feel the urgency? My dad came to my bedroom door and said, "You've got to get up. We have to keep going." And what's that all about? Can you see the difference? That you just draw people in at the very beginning, bring them right into your experience as quickly as you can. So C is curiosity, R is real, E is emotional connection, A is attention, and T is teach. In this area, you want to offer value. Now remember, you've only got 1 minute. And so how are you going to offer value in that minute? Well, there's three key things. One is, like I said, to offer or give them value. Give them a little nugget, perhaps an inspirational quote, perhaps a little tip, just something very simple. And then invite them to follow you in your mission. And thirdly, inform them of who you are. And you say, wait a minute, it's less than a minute. I was introduced. Surely they'll remember that. Well, you know what? When it's somebody we haven't heard of or met before, that name often goes in one ear and out the other. And so at this point, you're offering them value. And if it's something that grabs their attention, they are going to pay more attention to who you are, your name. So C is curiosity, R, real, E, emotional connection, A, attention, T, teach, and our last E is explode your message. So how do you do this? You do it by keeping it short, keeping it clear, avoid any unnecessary details. And remember, your focus is on your listener. The whole idea of sharing a 1-minute message or your 1-minute story is to basically come alongside, to support your listener any way that you can. And of course, it's also to build that curiosity so people want more of you. See, once you share that 1-minute message, you can go many different directions, but you're grabbing attention with that story. And with people's attention spans so short these days, it's like if we share more than maybe 2 minutes or even 3, we begin losing them. And so that's why the 1-minute message is so powerful. And sometimes we may only have a minute to share. And if we don't know how to do that, we can miss tons of opportunities. So this is a way to grab every opportunity once we know that. But there's something I want to share alongside that is this doesn't come overnight. This is a skill like any other skill. It takes practice once you basically have your message together. But even prior to that, you just have to do it over and over and try to incorporate these other of these different things these different elements that I just told you about. So like I said, I didn't want you to just hear about the elements. I want you to experience story. So I'm going to share my 1-minute story. Here we go. My dad came to my bedroom door and said, "You've got to get up. We have to keep going." The day before was the worst day of my life. My precious 2-year-old brother was killed in a tractor accident. I was the one driving the tractor. That day changed my life forever. It was a long and costly journey to healing. But the biggest price I would ever pay is staying stuck in my story. It would be the cost of relationship, the cost of never fulfilling my dreams, the cost of denying the greatest gift I had been given, my story. I'm Linda Olson. I hope you'll join me in impacting millions through story. Okay. I didn't time it right now, but I have timed that many times, and that should have been about 1 minute. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to put myself to the test. I've never done this before, so I'm feeling very vulnerable right now. But I'm going to walk through each of these elements. And if you felt like you experienced these things, I want you to just put yes in the comments. So the first one is curiosity. Did you feel like there was a curiosity when I shared my story? If so, just put yes, and I'll check on these at the end. Secondly, did you feel like I was real, that it was my voice, my experience? Again, just put a yes. Thirdly, did you feel like I made an emotional connection? Or were you distracted, just kind of thinking of all kinds of other things? Again, if so, put a yes. Fourthly, did it grab your attention? Did you want to know more? The fifth one did you feel like you received something of value, something you could walk away with? And the last one, could you see how a 1-minute story could explode your message? So I'm just going to ask my assistant Ian to let me know if I got some yeses. Okay, very good. Thank you. Yes, that tells me I'm on track. And thank you very much, ladies. All right, very good. Okay, we got lots of yeses. Very good. So with this, I wanted you to not only hear my 1-minute message, because you say, okay, well, she's been going through this a long time and she's noted and she's got it down, but I don't know if I could do that. Well, I'll tell you the best thing about our message, about our story, is that it's unique. I mean, there is no one in the whole world that has a message just like you. No one. And this uniqueness needs to come out in this 1-minute message. And so I have a guest that I wanted to bring on today. Her name is Hasuki Murata. And I'm going to do that right now. Welcome, Suki. We're so glad to have you on. And I've been working with Suki I've known her for the last few years. And last year we worked on our 1-minute message. And I just thought it would be fun for you to be able to hear a 1-minute message from someone else to again be able to experience it. So let's give a big welcome to Hasuki Murata.
I sat in my doctor's office, overwhelmed. I had just diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. The doctor said it is too late for chemo, too late for radiation, or any other kind of treatment. He gave me 1 to 5 years to live. I'm Hatsuki Murata. I was just faced with biggest decision of my life. Will I choose life or will I choose death? I realized that cancer is not a death sentence unless you accept it as that. I said goodbye to my old way of living and began to live life with a smile. In 2 years, I have published my first book, Facing the Storm with Kokoro. I'm writing second book, Fight with Smile. It's about the journey of my cancer to motivate other cancer patients, and started a children's series. I am Hatsuki Murata. I believe everyone can live life with a smile. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. I'll tell you, give her some comments in the chat, and just let her know how proud you are of her. I'll tell you, it takes a lot of courage to be able to share your 1-minute story. What takes even more courage is to be able to share it with that level of vulnerability. That's where the courage comes in. And Suki, you were fabulous. Thank you so much. So much.
Thank you. I was so nervous.
Oh, you did great. You did great. And I'll tell you what, as I've been walking alongside Suki in this journey, which is 2 years ago, isn't it? That is it 2 years ago that you were diagnosed? And
Yes.
um, and I'll tell you, Suki lives life with a smile, and she does it all the time. I work closely with her, and she's always carrying that wonderful smile that keeps her going. and to rise above as she embraces every day as a gift. So powerful. Thank you so much.
Thank
So
you.
you're very welcome. Right now, we actually have another guest that's waiting. Ian, I don't know if you can help me with this. Ian is my faithful assistant, but Victoria is attempting to come. And if we can bring her on, here she is. Welcome. Oh, Victoria, I'm so glad you're able to join us. So Victoria as well has a very powerful story. And by the way, Victoria is also, she spoke yesterday in the summit. So if you haven't heard her message, be sure to go back and listen to that. But Victoria, like I said, also has a powerful 1-minute story, and I wanted to let you hear that as well. So Victoria, share with us. Okay.
Her heart stopped beating. When I heard those quiet words spoken to me, it didn't seem real. But then I heard the voice again, a little louder. Time of death, 2:47 a.m. From that moment on, life would never be the same. Does a mother truly overcome the tragic loss of her child? How can she find joy after that kind of pain? Can pain and joy coexist? I'm Victoria Chapin, and I'm a grieving mama, yet passionate about joy. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation. My mission is to embrace and inspire those experiencing unimaginable loss so they too can have victory and live life to the fullest.
Thank you, Victoria. Wow, wow, wow. I'll tell you, I've heard her story many times, but every time I hear it, it just gives me chills. I mean, don't you want to know more from her story? Building that curiosity, so vulnerable. And it's like, wow, okay, she's here today. How did she make it? I mean, that's what I want to know. I don't know what you want to know, but that's what I want to know is how did you do it? So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Victoria. And like I said, Victoria actually shared yesterday, and I would love for you to go back and listen to her message, her extended message, and powerful. Thank
Thank
you,
you. I
Victoria.
just want to say that I just really appreciate, Linda, all that you've done and the coaching you've done. So whoever wins, and if there's any way people can get on your challenges that you have or get with you for coaching, I highly recommend it.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, so as we move on here, let's let's before we go to the Q&A, and we're doing good with our time right now, so we'll have lots of time for questions. But before we go there, I just want to thank God for each of our stories, because I'll tell you what, I believe everyone has a story, and a story that can transform lives. But let me just tell you that probably in about 10 years ago or so, if somebody had asked me what my story was, I probably would have said, I don't think I have one, because I really didn't understand uh, story, and I didn't understand the power of story. And so it's been a wonderful journey that God has taken me through. But let's stop and just thank Him even now for our story. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for the story you have given each of us. And even though at the time when we're going through painful circumstances, it's not so fun, and we'll be the first to admit that. But our real story is about our outcome. When we can come out on top on the other side, then you have empowered in us a message that we can share with others. And that's what we desire to do more than anything. And so we just say thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, this whole idea of doing a 1-minute story may be new to many of you, maybe all of you. I don't know if any of you have ever tried that. It really is kind of a trick doing it. But I want to hear your questions. What questions do you have that I can help you with? Any questions at all? One of the questions, while we're waiting, one of the questions that often comes up for me is, what do you do if you have a big story? How do you share that in 1 minute? Or maybe even 2 minutes? I mean, how do you share that? And the key is to break it up. Let's say you're given 15 minutes to share your story, or maybe even less. Let's say 10 minutes. You're given 10 minutes and to share your story. It's like, how do you do that? If you share it in 1 minute, I mean, then what? Well, the whole idea is to break down a big story and share it in these 2-minute, 1 minute, or 2-minute increments. So if you want to get an idea about how that happens, I actually had the privilege of being on the Tedx stage a few years ago. And you can either put in my name, Linda Olson, or the title is Your Story is Gold. And we were given 10 to 12 minutes. I think mine is about 11 minutes. And what I did was, you wouldn't know it unless, I'm telling you now and you're looking for that. But I actually I broke it down into 2-minute increments so that I weaved it through. My story was weaved through with 5 or 6 short stories. And I just put it all together. And much to my surprise, I truly got incredible feedback. And many people told me, leaders of the community, the mayor, different people said, you are by far the most powerful storyteller, most powerful message. And I was really taken back with that. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, that's the power of story. It is because I really gave my whole presentation through story. And so that I really believe that was the power of story. And like I said, it took a lot of work. It took a lot of practice. It is a skill. So somebody is asking, when you feel like you don't have a good story, what do you share? You share an experience. And I'll tell you what, story is made up of conflict, and behind every conflict is a resolution. So it doesn't have to be that you're always sharing your big story. Based on the needs of your audience, remember, we want to connect with our audience, with our listener, based on their needs. It may be a simple story that you're sharing. You share the conflict, and the resolution is the lessons. To me, that's the real part of the story, is the lessons you learn through the conflict. Now, sometimes we are stuck in our story and we haven't always embraced that part of the story. Then find a story, find a victory that you've had, that you have embraced. But don't just share the victory, because if you just focus on the victory, most of the time our listener cannot relate to that. I'll tell you where they can relate is through the problem, the conflict, the pain. That's where they connect, because unfortunately, that's the world we live in today. And so you're connecting through your conflict, but then again, you don't want to leave them there. You want to give them hope. And then you share your resolution. You share the lessons that you learned through that. Hopefully that is helpful. When you get an idea for a story, do you make a note of it or do you try and flesh it out right away? Well, you know what? Most of the time I make a note of it. I write it down because I'll tell you with my memory these days, I can't be assured I'm going to remember it. And of course, some people say the best ideas come when you're in the middle of the night or when you're in the shower. Well, some people actually put a notepad by their bed and a little light so they can quickly write it down and let it go and hopefully go back to sleep. If you're in the shower, that's not so easy, but just when you jump out, write down those ideas. Yes, because you'll be amazed how the ideas for story, they can come up anytime, anywhere. So it's always good to have a little notebook and pen or put it on your notes through your cell phone or whatever it is. But yes, write it down. These stories presented here are unbelievable. Yes, they are, aren't they? What if you don't have such amazing stories? Well, I'll tell you what, some people feel like unless they have a big story, they don't have any story. And that's not true at all. Everyone has conflict. And many of our conflicts include stories. They include stories. It's the beginning of a new story. So, for example, it may be very simple. Let's say I'm about to rush out the door for my next appointment, and all of a sudden I realize my keys aren't where they usually are. So I look all over trying to find these keys. I yell at the kids, wondering if anybody has seen my keys. Nobody has seen my keys. What do? Do I call Uber? Do I find out if my spouse is using her car? What do I do? And just then I see this little lump on the counter under the mail that I picked up last night. I pick up this lump of paper and realize there are my keys. And as I get to my next appointment or I get to the office and let's say I need to give a little presentation, I share that little story with them. And then I say, and what do you do when you don't know what to do? See how simple that was? It's an everyday story. We all at some point lose our keys, lose our cell phone, misplace it, forget where it is. And we can take something as simple as that and take it to our audience, wherever that is. So what do? I didn't know what to do. I mean, my first thought was I panicked. And then second thought was just slow down, calm down. I know there are options. Okay, what are my options? And then you explore the options. Hopefully that was helpful. On what occasions do you share your 1-minute story? Very good question. Most of the time, the 1-minute story, it can be great to put on your website for people just to get to know you in that 1 minute. Other times, I will use it as part of the beginning of a talk. So if I'm asked to give a presentation, whether it's online, offline, I will share that 1 minute. And then from there, and I might, depending on my audience or where I'm going or how much time I have, then there's many different directions I can go with it. And so often the beginning of the talk or the website are probably the two best places to share it. Where do you use the 1-minute stories most? Okay, and I just talked a little bit about that, and that is I probably use it most at the beginning of my talk. But like I said, it's a good place to put on your website or someplace where with everything online today, you may not even do the full minute. You may just do 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds of it, and just share it at the beginning of maybe you're giving a talk on YouTube, or maybe part of a post, many different ways. But yes, often the beginning of a talk or a presentation I'm giving. So you could use this as a testimony too when you want to share the gospel and don't have much time. Absolutely. In fact, I think that is the best time to share it, and is to use it. It is your testimony. Your story of victory, of what you have overcome, is your testimony. And that, again, it doesn't have to be that big story, but you think about how you were introduced to the gift of salvation and what it took for you to get there. That was probably some little conflicts. Chances are you fought it, you resisted it for a while, and then you just knew in your heart more than anything you needed to pray that prayer of salvation. It was just as simple as that. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely. I think that is the most powerful place to use this. Would it be appropriate to use it for trying to get speaking engagements? Yes, absolutely. Just like in the same way that often if I have prospective speakers, they want to get an idea of what I sound like, what I do, I'll send them to my TEDx talk. Most of you may not have a TEDx talk, but if you have that 1 minute on your website, send them to that. It's a great place. Or just send that 1 minute. That they can probably listen to. They say when you do that for prospective speaking engagements, don't make it longer than 2 minutes. People's time is too valuable. They just don't have that time. And if you do, you'll lose them right there. But just think about that. If you can share it in 1 minute and say, you know what? I have a 1 minute story I wanted to share with you. Absolutely. That's a fabulous place to use it. Any other questions? Okay, these have been great questions. I love it. All right, and we're doing good for time. Hopefully, I answered most of those questions. Now we are at what I consider the most fun part of all of this, and that is our prizes. I hope that you have seen that as a gift for everyone, I'm inviting you to a 5-day challenge on creating a story that transforms. Now, in this one, we're not focusing on the 1 minute. We're actually focusing on a 2 minute. I'll tell you what, 2 minute is a lot easier because you've got double the time. And I give you a very simple framework to do that in. So every day we will meet for an hour on Zoom calls. And if you can't make that time, I will record it. So just sign up for the 5-day challenge. And it's the very end of January, in about 2 weeks. And we'll have a fun time. And I take you step by step. Every day I give you a little step. By the end of the week, you will have your 2-minute story together. And that too is very powerful. If you don't know where to go with that, you'll go on my website, wealththroughstories.com. And then /challenge. But even if you just go to wealththroughstories.com, you'll be able to find it there. And then for our 2 prize winners, I am giving a 1-hour one-on-one coaching. And this is a $250 value. And so I'm going to tell you exactly how you can win this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little phrase, 4 words. And the first one that types it in the comment is going to win the 1-hour coaching. And it has to be spelled correctly, and you have to have every word in there. Are you ready? I have a story. Have we got a winner? Whoever's put in, I have a story first. So it looks like Ella. No, Kelly. Okay, Kelly, very good. So Kelly, just email me, linda@wealththroughstories.com, and we'll set up a time to get together. Okay, I'm going to choose somebody else. And again, we're going to do the same thing. It's 4 words, very simple. And so you have another chance to do this. And the second one is the power of story. The power of story. Do we have a winner on this? Okay, here we go. Ella made it this time. Very good. Okay, again, just email linda@wealththroughstories.com. And I'll tell you what, even if you didn't win and you are very interested in just learning more about story, right now, I do a training. It's a couple weeks, one-on-one sessions on the 1-minute story. And I hope you've begun to understand the power of a 1-minute story, because it truly is very powerful. And right now, I'm giving a 50% discount to my training. So if you are interested in it, just email me, linda@wealththroughstories.com, and we'll get together and talk about it then. Again, I'm going to give my email again, linda@wealththroughstories.com. Okay, you've been a great group. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning. And for those of you that'll be watching the replays or watching it online later, I hope that you receive value through this 1-minute story, because I'll tell you, your 1-minute story, your 1-minute message is very powerful. Thank you so much.
Are you enjoying this? I'm so glad you're here, and I'm excited that in just a minute we're going to announce the winners here for this session. You do have to be present to win a prize. However, anybody can ask for the swag gifts anytime over at the speaker session pages, so be sure to go over there and request the swag gift. At the bottom of her page also, you'll find how to connect with her socially. We'd love for you to follow us, friend us, tweet us like that, and keep the connection going. Let's not end this today. Let's keep it going all the way through 2022 and beyond. We're excited to have you here. I hope that you will take a moment and tell a friend about Best You 2022. It doesn't end. You know, a lot of summits and conferences have you pay for the whole privilege to listen to the tapes later, but this is all free today and going forward. So you can invite your friends to listen anytime. They can download the schedule at the site, get a free ticket and download the schedule, and they can tune in whenever they have time. And you can go back and catch the sessions that you maybe missed later when you have a moment. I'm so glad you're here. This is an opportunity that I have to tell you thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for dedicating your life to Christ. Thank you for letting Him live through you and shine through you. And God bless you and keep you and expand your territory in 2022.